What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you come into the channel and check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak on or react to some comments that I heard on what was that? I think it was First Take. No, First Things First. I'm sorry. And the topic of conversation was, is James Harden the all-time greatest choker in NBA history? And wow, so I thought about that, and I'm like, wow, that's a good question. And so you had a lot of guys who have choked, throughout NBA history, like in big games and in big moments. These guys like really shrunk and didn't really show up. But I have to admit, like of all the guys, like I've seen in games before, like early in Kobe career, I think he had a game where he choked. And he didn't really show up. He didn't, in a big moment, he kind of shrank. You know, who else? Magic Johnson. They called Magic Tragic Johnson, and he shrunk. At on a couple occasions. In a series, he didn't play up to his standards or what the team was expecting him to play. They used to say the same thing about like Steph Curry, like in big games, Steph Curry, he was missing shots. They said that, the Golden State Warriors was basically Clay and Draymond was carrying them, in big games and stuff like that. So he kind of had that reputation for a little while. Jason Tatum kind of had that reputation, like, and to a certain extent, Jason Tatum is really still going through that. Jason Tatum is still going through that. But and I'm sure like a lot of other ball players, like Paul George, they say that he can't win a big game, and sometimes, a few times they said that he shrunk in big moments. It's common, and it's common. But a lot of times, most of these ball players, if they keep getting a bite at the apple, eventually some of these guys make it over the hump. Like Kobe, Kobe turned into, he just he wanted that so bad, he worked at it, that Kobe just got, Kobe just turned out to be one of the greatest, in NBA history, in my opinion. Then you got Magic. Magic was able to get over that hump, and so he got past it. Steph Curry worked his way through that situation, and people really don't, especially with the way Steph Curry is playing now. Ain't nowhere in the world people gonna say, he's shrinking big moments. Steph Curry is just he finds ways, Steph Curry, for him to affect the game even when his shot is off. And that's what being a professional basketball player is all about, a franchise basketball player. And so with James Harden, if his shot is off, he started to do that. Like he started to try to be more of a facilitator. Like this year, when the Denver Nuggets knocked them out, I thought he played better than he played in years past, as far as like, whereas though the Clippers went 7 games, against the Denver Nuggets. Like, but I think in years past, they might not have even been able to take it to 7. They might have only been able to take it to 5 or 6, like that. So he's gotten better. But I think of all the guys who have really choked throughout history, I think for some reason James Harden, like he has had, when he was at Houston, he had some horrible seasons, some horrible performances in the playoffs. James Harden did. And so I think when it comes to choking, I think James Harden really did. I think he is, in my opinion, like the greatest, choke artist in NBA history. And it just seemed like James Harden was never able to affect the game in other ways, like when his shot is off. like his 3-point shot, like if his 3-point shot is off, he stuck with it and he shot himself and his team out of the games in most instances, right? So yeah, man, I just think that I would have to agree with the guys from First Take that that he is the man, he's just hands down the greatest choke artist in NBA history. And that's his fault because he never, certain aspects of his game, he just never tried to improve. Like all those great ball players, they have like a signature shot that they can go to that was almost automatic. He relied on that his 3-point shot most of the time, right? He relied on that. So the 3-point shot, it can shoot you out the game, it can shoot you in the game, and it can shoot you out the game. Kobe Bryant developed his turnaround jumper, and that turnaround jumper for Kobe Bryant on the wings was just it was automatic. And so that's how Kobe got past that, that situation, turned himself into somebody who was clutch. Magic Johnson had that running sky hook, that running half hook. And that shot was basically for Magic. That was his go-to shot. And that was his shot that he, it was automatic basically. And you couldn't really defend that. And so that's what most great ball players do. They get a shot where as though it's a higher percentage shot and it's their go-to move. Like whatever you can't really defend that go-to move. Now, Steph Curry is the exception to that rule because Steph Curry found other ways to score when if his jumper is not really on like they, number one, Steph Curry not going to shoot you out the game. He's got to the point where he's going to he can facilitate, he can he can score going to the rim amongst the trees, so and that's what James Harden have to do. You got to find other ways to score and get baskets and stay aggressive. And that's what all of those other guys did. Like sometimes James Harden is not even aggressive when his shot is off. I don't know if he lose confidence or if he feel like he don't want to hurt the team, but he's not as aggressive. And so that's what, like I said, sometimes your jumper is going to be, especially if you're a 3-point shooter, your shot going to be off. And when your shot is off, you got to find other ways to affect the game. He never developed that. Like this year, I did see him trying to be more of a facilitator. But it wasn't effective enough. He didn't have that go-to move where like he's somebody who can definitely get you a basket when a basket is needed. And throughout his career, James Harden has never been able to develop to that level where as though, he had a clutch shot and he can get you, he gonna get you a basket when the basket is needed, or he is at least gonna make himself a threat, but it just seemed like he shrank in those big moments. And when they just played Denver, certain times you would have needed James Harden to step up and to help Kawhi out. He wasn't able to do that. And so that's why, like this tag that he's got for somebody who is somebody who's shrinking in big moments and somebody who's not able to rise to the occasion. I think it's legitimate, and because I have, like I said, I've never seen a ball player who had so many opportunities to correct that error or shed that tag that they got on him. And he had a lot of opportunities and he still was never able to get past it. Like he might have a good game or two during the series, but he's never been that guy. Like throughout the regular season, he's that dude. He can strap a team on his back and they can win some games regular season. But once you put him in that half court and you put those guys with those defenders with length on them and somebody who can stay in front of him and make it hard for him to get the ball. And I don't know if it's fatigue, but like I said, he just had too many opportunities to correct that. So it can't be fatigue, not after all these years when you could have worked on your conditioning. So when that opportunity presented itself again, he would have been in shape. He could have developed a go-to shot or a go-to move, whereas though he knew that that was money in the bank. He never did that. So he just didn't develop his game to the point where as though he could get himself over that hump. And yeah, so I agree with the guys from First Take. I just think he is the best choke artist in NBA history, man. And but other than that, like regular season, he's that man. But in the playoffs, as far as trying to get your team to the championship, he's not that guy. So that's my take on it. And with that being said, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about James Harden. Is he the greatest choke artist in NBA history? And if he not, let me know who you think is the best choke artist. I think he just had so many opportunities to get past that hurdle, and he never was able to do it. And yeah, man. So with that being said, I'll check you all out in the next episode. Peace.